Welcome back to the SilmFilm Script Discussions, Season 3, Episode 5, Part 3. We're having a little bit of a heck of a time here because it turns out that we don't have a tremendous amount of material to work with in this episode. The problems that we had in Episode 2 were interesting, trying to make the correct amount of chaos happen while juggling the various motivations of the different people who were involved in the scenes. The problems with Episode 3 are the fact that it doesn't work, and the problems with Episode 4. I think Episode 4, I felt like we kind of had too much happening.
Well, it was a different type of story than anything we've done with SilmFilm in the sense that it was more about diplomatic relations.
Yeah.
And that's important when you have two different cultures coming together. But like hammering out peace treaties is not something we've done in SilmFilm before, so it just felt very different than usual.
Mm-hmm.
For this episode right now, I feel like our main challenge is to show everything happening in a gradual, natural progression instead of short bursts of everything and then long times of no change while they build stuff. It's getting the pacing is going to be tricky.
Yeah. All right. So if we do a scene of Celeborn returning to Menegroth, if that's our first scene, where would we go from there? I mean, we could go to see what's happening with our Angband characters. We don't have to visit Bulldog because we're going to see what Bulldog's been doing in the first scene.
Right. I feel like the Sindar should have a chance to panic after this report. Like, Beleg's report was a little scary, but there were only 20 of them, and he killed some of them. So, like, how threatening is that?
Right.
This report's a little different. This is like there's an entire army coming towards us, except we're probably not the kind of people who have words for army yet, because warfare is kind of new to the Sindar.
Yes.
So the threat level just jumped up much higher than it had been, and they were already pretty concerned from what Beleg said. Like, it was disturbing news that kind of flustered people. So I would have to imagine that Norn is not the only one who's panicking.
Could we have Daeron and Luthien dealing with some like lower decks panic?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we kind of are. There was a suggestion that towards the end of this episode, maybe, or later in the season, there would be a scene where they're like opening Menegroth. It's after they've done something to build it, they're ready to move people in, and that Luthien would like perform a dance or whatever that was kind of, I don't know, this is now our space, and like I'm making it peaceful for all of it. I don't know. Luthien as a character is so hard to put into words because, like, what do you do with the perfect little princess who like looks beautiful and, by the way, is super powerful?
I remember reading trying to read the story of Beren and Luthien to somebody, and immediately getting pushback. It was like, oh, it's another story about the most beautiful woman ever.
Just wait. I mean, she is the most beautiful woman ever, but look what she doesn't. She's not Buttercup from Princess Bride. Like, Buttercup is, in the book at least, literally just a pretty face. She's a complete idiot and doesn't really do anything that would make Wesley even like her. So, I mean, it's not that bad.
In the movie, she does not come off quite that idiotic, except when she's next to Wesley, because Wesley knows it's a movie. Like, that's the only explanation that makes, like, he's the only one who's like, yeah, this is a joke.
Well, yeah, she's incompetent in several scenes, but she at least gets like one passionate speech where she's clearly making a decision, and there's a few things that she does that she's a likable character in the film, I think, more so than the book. Not that she's horrible in the book, but she's just not that impressive. Luthien, on the other hand, impresses the socks off of everybody she ever meets. So, what do you do with that?
In various and assorted ways. So yeah.
Yeah. So I just, like, when you said if it's her taking on the responsibility of calming the people and giving them hope, like, that's the kind of thing she would do.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe Melian even tells her, like, that's what the people need right now. She's like, how can I help? And it's like, you can keep everyone from panicking.
Okay. Maybe okay. Maybe they're not spending that scene. Maybe this isn't a Denethor and Luthien scene. This is a scene of Luthien encountering this panic, this building panic,
and then she goes back to Melian. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that can be her story throughout this episode, is how she is helping her people in the role of the child of her parents.
Okay.
Because she's obviously not really part of Thingol's court.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we've got Celeborn and Beleg and Mablung having all these responsibilities. Luthien just hangs out.
Yet she's kind of Moana in a way.
I haven't seen Moana.
You haven't seen
it. No, sorry.
She's the daughter of the village chief.
Okay.
On an island where they live kind of this paradisical lifestyle. She is moving into more of a leadership role in, you know, at the time that the film kind of gets going. But I mean, the arc is obviously different at some point, but she does go on a long journey to defeat a great evil. And there is a spirit of fire and darkness, so
close enough. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So Melian advises her, not necessarily on what to do, but that she has a duty to do something.
Right. Exactly.
And that she can't exhibit the kind of panic that other people are feeling.
Right. So Melian should give her the responsibility, and then Luthien figures out how to. Yes. Yeah. So that's fine with me. So that's Luthien's story going through this, and then therefore, if at the end we gave her a scene where she
dances her cares away.
Yeah, whatever. It wouldn't look frivolous. It would look like it was a culmination of what she'd been doing throughout the episode. So I would be fine with that.
Yeah. And also we need to establish that kind of thing is not frivolous for the elves.
Right. Like, it's a serious thing. It's not a silly thing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be.
Dancing your cares away is an actual thing for the elves.
Right. Yeah, elven magic's so weird.
Yeah.
But
okay.
But yeah, okay. So we have a story for Luthien now going through. That's good.
Do we want to save Thuringwethil and Sauron for the last scene of the first act?
Yes, because we can't go too fast with them because they only have a few little things to do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, scene 3. I think we have Norn and whoever's with him packing up to leave, and Celeborn encountering him.
Yes, that sounds good. Because Norn can explain his point of view and express concern that the Sindar are not prepared, and he's worried for them.
Yeah, and he's worried for himself too. Like, he's
packing up to leave, but I'm fine with all those motivations as long as he also expresses concern for the Sindar in a genuine way of, what are you guys going to do? Like, how are you going to save yourselves? This sounds bad kind of way, not see ya, good luck, have fun storming the castle.
Yeah. It would take a miracle. Okay. Do we have him kind of talk Norn into the idea that the Sindar can be helped here?
Yes, because this is where we see Celeborn is also an ambassador. So he's reaching out to the dwarves, who he's just met. He doesn't know anything about them yet, but
yeah,
he could say something along the lines, Mablung has spoken very highly of you, or
yeah,
I have heard of the great mansions of your people, and I know that you guys are different than us, but
yeah. It's very possible that the dwarves would have held out for a very, very long time if if the Noldor never showed up.
Right.
And Melkor just spent the next few hundred years wiping out the Sindar. Chances are the dwarves would have held out for a while before.
I would have to imagine that it would have taken Balrogs and dragons to conquer the dwarves. Yes. And eventually Morgoth has those, so he would have won in the end. But you're right, it would take a long time. Whereas the Sindar in Menegroth or Círdan on the coast, less. Although Morgoth never develops a navy, so Círdan could flee to the Isle of Valar much earlier in the storyline and just camp out there.
Yes.
So there'd be a much bigger population on the Isle of Valar from the beginning of the first stage. But you're right. The dwarves are the ones who are actually prepared for a siege against them.
Okay. So when Sauron and Thuringwethil arrive in Spider Town.
Yes.
What? They have to also be we have to slow down that agreement also.
Right.
So what happens? Do the spiders attack them?
That would make the most sense, because otherwise this is going to seem exactly like a rerun of the Morgoth Ungoliant thing.
Yeah.
Because Ungoliant was afraid of Morgoth in the beginning and wasn't going to just start by attacking him.
Sauron knows that Ungoliant, for all of her flaws, was a relatively rational creature. And so he's kind of expecting
rationality.
What happened with Melkor to happen again.
Right.
Instead, they are immediately attacked.
Right. Which we need to establish that the spiders are starving.
Yes.
So having them attack right away because it's fresh meat fits that storyline. And also completely differentiates it from what we've already done.
Can they wake up wrapped in spider web?
No.
That would be
okay. So they
how do you deal with this stuff?
Yeah. So they flew to get there, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to fly away out of the bad situation pretty quickly.
Right.
But they could get bit by a spider, so they could be poisoned or something. They could have a side effect to show that Sauron's not really invincible. Like
you want Sauron to get the spider bite, or
Thuringwethil could. But the point is something that shows that these people aren't completely invulnerable to all wounds.
Yeah. I mean, and this is my iron ore derived venom of some kind.
Like that's the point. Is this is powerful enough to hurt even a seriously strong creature that we didn't think was very easy to hurt.
Yeah.
So that would establish the spiders as powerful and scary and very different from Ungoliant in there.
And here's the thing. I mean, I feel like it kind of has to be Thuringwethil who gets bit, because if Sauron gets bit,
how's he going to lead up? How's he going to do the next episode of stuff?
Right. And also, she'd just leave him.
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't have any agenda.
Yeah.
He needs her. Not to mention, I don't think Sauron's the kind of guy yet who would abandon a fallen comrade.
And this would establish that he's not quite that fallen yet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree that those considerations make sense. And showing that he needs her is good, because we're trying to establish Sauron scrambling for allies in this season. Yeah. And that's why he's talking to these spiders in the first place. That's why he takes the werewolves out with him when he because he knows that just orcs probably isn't going to cut it. Like he's trying to put his finger everywhere to make sure he has a power base when he needs it.
Right.
Whereas the Balrogs are kind of just sitting around with an orc army going, meh, we're good.
Waiting for Feanor to show up.
Pretty much.
They have full support of the boss.
Right. So they're not worried about anything, and they have no enemies to face yet. So yeah, Sauron should feel much more vulnerable. So yeah, having him have to save Thuringwethil fits, I think. Okay, so the spiders attack them. She gets bit, and he flies her out of there, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's this scene. Then they'll have to regroup later.
Okay. That gives us another scene later where it gives us another scene where they can be like, we can show the after effects of the bite as well.
Yes.
The question is though that if the spiders are this savage, how are we going to get Sauron into a conversation with Shelob?
He is going to come back prepared to fight them off.
Yeah. He's gonna have to like put some serious hurt.
Well, not necessarily. Just a barrier would be fine.
Yeah.
If he can put up some kind of force field or some kind of protective area, he can just set that in place. The spiders bounce off of it, and he's like, "All right, can we talk now?"
Which will set up what's going to happen. I like it.
Yes.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Well, also, I was thinking, what weapons do you use against a spider that's not a giant sword?
Yeah.
And because he can't kill them, because that defeats the purpose of trying to become allies.
Yeah. Yes.
So he would have to halt them.
Yes.
I mean, he could kill one of them, maybe. But maybe in attempting to get Thuringwethil out of there, he has to kill them.
Yeah.
So that it's, yeah.
Like, we can't show that they're completely helpless either.
Right. Like, that's what I was trying to make sure it was balanced.
And we could show, because I mean, obviously, I don't want to make Thuringwethil the damsel in distress either. So, having her kill off a couple, as they're attacking is probably not the world's worst idea either. Though I never got the feeling that the vampires are like super powerful in Tolkien's mythos either.
He never spent much time with them.
Yeah. Okay. So that gives us Act 2. That gets us into Act 2. Yes.
Now, how many scenes do you think we need for the frame? Like just one at the midpoint, or are we going to need one in Act 2 and one in Act 3?
I think we are probably going to need one in Act 2 and Act 3 just because there's not a lot going on, and there is a lot of stuff in there.
Right. Okay. So for the frame in Act 2, I think we have Estel doing the storytelling with the little kids and the older boys who aren't really, I don't know. Like Hamilcar's 20, so he's not a boy. Like I feel weird calling him a boy, but at the same time,
that feels a little old. That feels a little old to me, but
yeah. Well, the idea is they wanted him at least significantly older than Estel, and Estel's only 16.
I mean, if he's like 18, like that. I mean, and also his age is not going to actually be said aloud.
True.
Chances are, like that's a weird thing to just say.
Yeah, yeah. So
I mean, he can be bigger and stronger than Estel, but not as big and strong as everybody else.
Right. Fine. And you cast an actor who's in the 18 to 20-year-old range, and we're good. So
well, no. Chances are you cast a 28-year-old actor.
No, you don't. No. Nowadays, people are much better.
Exactly what happens.
No, that's what used to happen. There's been a big push against that. I'm not saying that no one does it anymore, but a lot of people are making sure they actually cast teenagers for teenage roles.
What story is Estel telling them?
That's
going to be a season 1 story.
Right. I was going to say it's something he learned from Elrond.
Or could it be a story from what's happening now in the episode? Like, could we get in here and have it be that Estel is telling the very story that we're telling, and that the episode is actually being framed
by a frame? Yeah. Okay, let's do that because we haven't done that since season 1, and I feel well. That's not true. We did it a little bit in season 2, but we haven't done it at all yet in season 3.
Yes.
So I feel like it's time to do that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the implication can be that Elrond taught him, because I kind of want the I ran away from Rivendell, and yet everything I know and think is what I learned in Rivendell. Like that's Estel's place where he is right now.
Is he telling them about Sauron and Thuringwethil?
No, I think he's telling them about building Menegroth.
Okay.
Because he was complaining in the teaser that the Dunedain don't have a home of their own. So it fits that he would be talking about Menegroth now.
Yep.
And how wonderful. Which will be funny when we see it as like a completely rough-hewn cave. Like not quite the way Stell's described it.
A natural cave, yeah. Okay. All right, so that can be the first scene of Act 2. And we don't need to get any conversation between Hamilcar and his peers, but we can see them in the background with disapproving and snide expressions. Yeah,
or even someone could call Estel a nursemaid at some point. Maybe not in this scene, maybe in the next one. But
that's what I'm thinking. If we can make that happen in the next scene.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And the nuances of what exactly Estel says will depend on whoever wants to write that scene. As long as it has something to do with Menegroth, it's fine. Like what you want to give away or refer to. There's lots of ways you could do that.
Can we have Telkar arriving in the next scene?
Yeah, Telkar is from Nogrod, so he's unrelated to Norn. Like they don't have anything to do with one another.
Well, I want to jump forward in time considerably and have we're already in the process of making preparations. I don't want to get into the details of how many cases of pearls they need to.
No,
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah. Right. So it's clear that there's been some back and forth with the dwarves now.
Right. Telkar arrives and is met by Norn and Celeborn, I imagine.
Yeah.
Telkar doesn't get right into making weapons for them. He wants to know a little bit more about them first.
Right, because if you're a weaponsmith, you care about who you're supplying.
Right.
And he's going to be, in particular, upset about Eowl's methods later. So he's a conscientious weapons maker.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break real quick. If you're watching this live, hang in there. We'll be right back. If you're watching us on YouTube in the future, definitely like and share the videos if you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe.
Feel free to subscribe.
Yeah, good job. That. Check out the links below. All kinds of information on the SilmFilm project. Mythgard Institute /Academy, Signum University, the Tolkien Professor, and a bunch of fantastic people who are involved in the Silmarillion film project. I will go back in a minute.